All right. Good morning again. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Greetings. Thank you so much for joining the first of many webinars that we're going to be doing with Sparksmiths and Event Spark. So just an introduction from my side. My name is Noelle. I am on the marketing and customer success team for Sparksmiths. I have already been in touch with a couple of you regarding, some renewals, any kind of questions you had around your microsites, your events, any kind of setup that you needed help with. So that is kind of my role with Sparksmiths. I'm joined on this call by my colleague, Michael Farr. He's on our sales team, and he's just going to be assisting me admitting people into the meeting, manning the chat box, and just answering any questions that I may not see as we're going. Okay. So as mentioned, and as you guys might have seen on our upcoming events page, what we are going to be doing is a series of short webinars throughout the next couple of months. The reason that we've decided to do this is because we've gotten a couple of new clients on board, and it's just nice to have a refresher on some basic Event Spark features as we're going. So we'll be repeating a couple of webinars for people who might have missed this. Maybe there's some new features that we incorporate into, event themes or microsites that we need to do. So these will be running. Our next one we are planning to host in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. Once we have set that up, we'll add that to our events calendar and send you all invites. For today's session, we are going to be covering event themes, which control the fonts and the colors on your microsite. So the microsite is the front-facing event registration page and the check-in page, as well as the Event Microsite Templates. And that controls the look and feel of your microsite, disclaimers on any of the forms, and then just some regionalization and personalization that goes with how the time is formatted, the addresses are formatted on your microsite. So I'm going to go and get started. If you've got any questions as we're going, please do just pop them into the chat box. Mike Farr will answer them as we can. I don't think we'll be using the full hour today. If we do, then we do. That's great. If not, then that's all good. We will, towards the end, do a Q&A session where we'll give you the option just to ask a couple of questions if you do have any. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. Are you all able to see my screen? Good. Yeah, perfect. So starting off with our webinar, we're going through themes. So we're going to be unpacking the themes and the microsite templates with two different events. As you know, there's two different registration options that we have with Event Spark. So that would be the standard registration tool and the booking wizard tool. The reason that we're going to be showing you the differences in the Event Microsite templates is because the booking wizard is set up differently to the normal registration tool. So starting off with the registration tool, I've just created a basic event. And then I can show you. We'll see that it is using a standard registration form. And if we scroll down to the microsite setup and status section, this is where we're going to be controlling the microsites, any friendly names with URL, the template, and the theme, as well as any other forms and things that can either be displayed or hidden on the microsite. So like things like the venue, ticket types, speaker profile images, titles, event names, venue dates, etc. So digging into the theme. So this is the theme that we've chosen to use for the event. We can see that the name is Sparksmith's theme. We've got options for background styling over here, and then fonts, texts, and colors. We really do recommend when you are setting up your event themes that you use this lovely little section on the right-hand side of the page to define your themes. It's mainly because once you click on it, you can see the color and include the hex code and make any changes that way. So what I want to do, starting off, is with fonts. So Event Spark supports standard fonts and custom fonts. If you want to use custom fonts in Event Spark, your Salesforce administrator will need to create a static resource for you in the backend. And how you reference this file is extremely important because that's how it's going to pull through. So if we come through to the static resource section of the Salesforce setup, I'll just quickly run through how to do this with you. So I go to static resources in the setup guide. I can come and I can click new. Over here, I can go new. How we'll label this out will be as follows: eventspark_custom_fonts. And the file that you are uploading needs to be a zip file and it needs to be labeled this way as well. The cache control needs to be public so that anybody on the microsite that is front facing can see this. So I've just got an example here of how we've uploaded our fonts. So we can see that it's a zip file, event spark underscore custom underscore fonts in a zip. If I go and I open this up, there's the root file, event spark underscore custom underscore fonts, and then that is hosting and nesting two of the fonts over here. When we upload the file, it needs to be the zip file that we choose over here. So event spark underscore custom underscore fonts. We'll go ahead and we'll click save. Oh, excuse me. We'll go ahead and we'll go and click save. I've already got one of these loaded, so this was just for me to show you how that works. If we come back to the theme, when we are looking at the fonts and colors, we need to specify under the text font, the heading font, and the custom and the title font, whether we are using one of the preloaded fonts or if we're going to be using a custom font. I've selected custom font, and the next thing that we need to do is reference the root file, which is eventspark underscore custom underscore fonts. Then we'll give it a / and label the font exactly as it is in our font file. So there we can see ITC, Avant-Garde, Gothic, Standard, Bold, and OTF. We need that file path over there. We're going to do the same with the heading. The heading, we can just see it's a different font. So because it is already in this font file, it's going to be referenced there. Then we've got the title font, which is already there. So if I go ahead and I click save, I'd like to show you what this microsite will look like with all of the colors and the themes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this to one side of my page and pull this one to the other. So this is what our event homepage looks like. I'll give it a refresh just to make sure any changes that I did make come back. All right. So when we go ahead and we update theme colors, we'll start off with the section for the page, the banner, and the buttons. So the page over here would be this section on the left and the right side where I've got an image uploaded. If you didn't have an image uploaded, there would be a color that we could enable there. The banner and the button goes to, if there was no image for the banner, what color this banner would be, and any kind of buttons that you have on your site. So if I were to go and change the button color and the title color, click save, come to this page and I refresh, we'll notice that the title will change and the button color will also be different. So it's really nice to have this side by side as you're setting up your event microsite, just so that you can see any changes. The main content section of the theme deals with this section in the middle over here. And as we're swapping through tabs, any information that is over here. So if we were to also just change the background, we can see that this is the text, but let's change the text to this color. And we'll change all of the headings to a darker gray. If I go and click save, we'll see that that record is updated. I'll come to my tab, my microsite tab, refresh. And we'll see that those changes have been made. And we can see that this was a terrible choice because it now is being hidden because it is the same as the page background. The panel in the form, before I get there, let me just quickly change this back. I'd like to show you how you can override the text section. So the background we have. Sure. So we can see that this text section here is gray. So you'll notice that when you are setting up your events on EventSpark, that if you come down to the microsite setup and status, you see there's a section here that says content formatting apply theme. If we have selected to apply the theme, it means that this theme will be overall applied to your event. If you wanted to have each text section in a different color, so let's say I wanted to highlight all of this and I wanted to make it a red color, I'll click done and save. If I come back to the microsite and I refresh, you'll notice that nothing is really going to change here because it's still pulling from the main theme. So what I'll do is I'll come back to the event. I'll select under microsite setup and status, under content and formatting. I'll decide I don't want to use the theme, so I'm overriding that so that this section can go red. I'll click save. I'll come back to my page, refresh, and we'll notice that that theme now has been overridden and this color has been applied. So if at any point in time you wanted to make these all different colors, under the more information you wanted to have that a different color, you can definitely do that. Just come and don't use the theme or apply the theme if you're good as it is. All right. When we refer to the panel in the form, that refers to the registration form. So if I come and I click register now, you'll notice that the background of the form is this lovely green color. All of the text is white and the heading is gray. If I were to change that and I were to say I want the heading to be the same color, and maybe the background form is going to be a bit darker, and the button is going to be a white color, just so that we can see it nicely on the form. If I go ahead and I click save, I come here and I refresh. I click register now, we can see that that button has changed and the form has been changed as well. So we're constantly making changes. What's really nice about Event Spark is that we leverage off of Salesforce using no low clicks and no coding. So everything is just click and change as long as you're refreshing the page. When we're looking at the footer, so we can see over here that the background of the footer is this green color again, and the text icon is also gray. I think I have shown you quite a couple of changes, so that's all good to go. The next important thing on the theme would be the status bar. So the status bar is what changes colors on your Booking Wizard event. So I'll show you how that looks. So that would be when you're going through the checkout process, those little icons. If you're on an icon and on a page that says checkout, it will display a different color if you select it to, as well as on the check-in page. So let me just head back to my events and open the check-in page so I can show you how those changes work. It is going to tell me that the camera is not available because I am using my camera on Zoom, so don't worry, that's no bugs that we found in our system. So we can see that the status bar over here is active, which means that I'm on this one over here. If I were to change that to a different color, and click save, refresh this page over here, we can now see that that has changed. And maybe I wanted to make this one red, just to make sure that people are not getting confused in any way, to know that they're not on those sections. I refresh the page and we can see those have updated quite nicely. So that is how the status bar works. I just want these. Here we go. So update the record back. And if I refresh, we can see that those changes have now been made as well. So that is how that works. If on my microsite, I didn't want to use any custom fonts, I could really come back here and choose, cool, I wanted Georgia Serif for the text font. For the heading font, I wanted to have something a little different. And the title font, I'm actually good keeping that the same. So I'll save that and I will refresh. There we go. And we can see those changes are made in real time and it all pulls through. Just a note on the custom fonts. So with Event Spark, we upload the fonts as static resources in Salesforce, and that will control the microsite template. We are not able to control how any emails come through with a custom font. So although we might have a custom font defined in Event Spark, it's not to say that that custom font or your font will pull through in the emails. The reason for this is that we don't have control over how different browsers view have fonts. If a font like our ITC Avant-Garde, which is standard to our brand, is not installed on a PC that is viewing it in email, it might not come across that way. So we have just noticed that there is some variability in how the emails come through, even if the custom font is defined over here. So that is the Event Spark theme and the custom fonts. Before we move on to the microsites, do we have any questions? I just want to come and have a look in the chat. If we've got any questions, you're more than welcome. Just shoot them through. Going, gone. All right. Awesome. So I'm going to pull this one back through here. Okay. Getting to the Event Microsite template. So as mentioned, the Event Microsite template controls the look and the feel of the website. It's things like controlling the regionalization and personalization, the site layout, and any privacy policy links and registration disclaimers. So if we look at that, if we look at this, we've got options for the date format. The date format can be displayed in any of these ways, and this will be displayed in the emails and in the microsites on the site. We've got time formats where we can have a 12-hour, a 24-hour, and a 24-hour with 1,000 hours and 2,200 hours. So that's really just up to your organization how you want to have that. Just a note, though, that once these are set, any event that uses this template will be defined by these criteria. We've also got the time zone variability, where you can hide the time zone. You can choose GMC offset or UTC offset or an abbreviation. If you have selected an abbreviation on your event, you will just need to come to the time zone settings, time zone over here, and it will use this abbreviation. So it pulls directly from this field on your schedule details of your event. We've got the salutation style. Are we going to be informal and say dear first name, casual, hi first name, or formal? Just a note on this, if you select formal and there is no title listed on the delegate, it will use the last name. So there's just a note there. And then we've got the site layout. So currently with the site, I'm just going to do the same, split my screen across. Go. So with the screen, we can see that we're using a single page with a menu, which is up at the top. Our form position is a modal pop-up, which means that it pops up towards us. Our title is positioned over the banner. But again, if you've got a banner that you've designed that has got this information inside the banner, on the event function, under the microsite setup and status, you have the option to hide the page title, the event name, the venue, the dates, and the tagline, which is what we're seeing over here. So there's the date, the clients, the lunch, and then the tagline. What we've done is we've completely hidden the venue tab, so the venue won't be displaying over here. When we're looking at the form float, we're deciding whether or not the form is going to be floating. The title alignment on the banner, is it center aligned? So if we were to just make a couple of changes here as we were going, we'll change this to left aligned. I actually wanted this to be below the banner because maybe I've designed a really cool banner or I've got an image of my company's building. The form position, we're going to place it in a tab. There's no floats on the form. The site, we can see that it's fixed width, meaning that the site content, so this middle section is displayed in the middle. We have the option to pull the banners all the way to the side. So if I were to save that, this banner will stretch all the way to the side and the content section would remain in the middle of the page, right? We can also choose to have the site as a full width, which is how our booking wizard site is set up that you'll see in a moment. So we refresh and now we can see that this has pulled through all the way to the side. And if there was a beautiful banner of a picture of the building, we would be able to see that there. So just with these changes, we've still got a single page with menu, but I actually would like to change that. I'm going to say single page with tabs. And then our form position is in a tab. The title is now below the banner. If I come and I refresh, we'll notice that the top section is now becoming into a tab view. So all of the information sits at the bottom here in a tab view down at the bottom. And then we've got a registration tab, a registration form over there. Again, this is specific to how you want to have your microsite tab set up. You can have them different for each event, just depending on which template is defined for the event. Then we've got the font size. So if what size the font is going to be on the microsite, the logo size, which you will see here in the top left corner, which also can be changed, what size this will be. So we'll just say this is always defaulted to left if it's not selected. So I'm just going to move that to the center and make the logo size just a bit larger. I refresh. And then we'll see the logo size has increased and it is now in the center of our page, which is great. So we'll also notice that on the Event Microsite template, we've got some URL links. So we can define our privacy policy and terms and conditions URL. These will be displayed once somebody registers for the site. So we can see here, there's the two links, the terms and conditions and the privacy policy for any of your registrations to click on once they register. We've also got the registration disclaimer, which you can see over here. By registering, you confirm, so that is where you can change that. We've got the footer text of the microsite, which we can see over here. It's at the bottom in the footer. When we're sending any emails, we've got the same disclaimer that we're just sending off to them. And on the check-in page as well, there will be a disclaimer that we send to them. This is completely editable depending on what your organization needs. You may or may not need these things, but it's always good just to have them in case. Okay, so that is the setup for the Event Microsite templates. Do we have any questions just before we move on to how the Booking Wizard events are set up and how that differs? Let's see. I've got a question here. Okay, yeah, and you've asked to display out how to display your site's cookie policy. So that can be defined in the URL links over there. And then for the logo image and the header text, unfortunately, we can't have the logo will always be at the top, and it is either left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned. How did I add that photo into the background rather than the page colors? So Sarah, how to upload a page background on the event? You'll just come to upload files over here. And when you do upload a file, let's just see over here. When you do upload a file, you've got the option just to define it and where it goes. So we've uploaded it here and we're using this as the background. So this is the image and we are going to use it as the background. And then you'll just click save and it will upload into the background. Just on the note of images, you can have images for the event list image, which is the image that displays on your upcoming event site. You can have an image for the background of the page. You can have an image for email banners and then for the normal banner, this banner on the microsite. I hope that answers your question, Sarah and Jan. Right, all good. Okay. Just a note on the themes and the microsite templates. With Event Spark, you can have up to 10 themes and 10 microsite templates if you were just having different subsets of events. And then you've got 3 organizing entities. So a microsite template is connected to an organizing entity, and your organizing entity is the department that is hosting the event or the organization within your organization. Maybe you've got different organizations or different streams of events and you needed to separate them. That is how you can do that. Okay, so that was the registration tool. So this is how that works. There is quite a bit of flexibility with the registration tool. When we get to the Booking Wizard, the setup is quite different, and I'm sure most of you have seen that as you've been creating Booking Wizard events. So just off the bat, quickly, the Booking Wizard, you can have a form for the booker. So once the booker books on behalf of, but also I can be the booker if I'm also the delegate, they'll get a registration form. They'll then go through, complete the form, and then have the option to select tickets, add multiple delegates to a ticket, assign the tickets or leave them unassigned, and then check out. When we get to the microsite setup and the template for this event, it really always, always, always has to be a single page with menu, and the form position needs to be in a tab. These are prerequisites for the microsite, and it has been defined in our user guide, which is quite easily usable there. So this is how our page is looking. I'm just going to move this to one side, show you these changes. Okay, so for this microsite template, we can see that we are using a single page with menu. So the menu is at the top and the registration page or the form position is in a tab. So once I then click register, we can see that it pops up down at the bottom over here. So if I go through a registration, I'm just going to complete this. Again, here with our theme, we can see the status bar that's active and inactive. Oh, come on. There we go. So status bar is active. It'll be this light blue over here because I'm actively on this section. And the status bar inactive is just a bit of a darker blue to show that I've got a process that I need to follow through. So again, just super important, always when you have a Booking Wizard event, it needs to be a single page with menu at the top, and then the form position needs to be in a tab. We have noticed that there are a couple of issues if the setup is not set up this way, so just save yourself a headache and just have it set up the correct way from the start. So going through a registration for the Booking Wizard event, if anyone is unsure, we'll go next. We're going to select the ticket, so one of these I'm going to select. I'm going to go ahead and assign the ticket to myself. It'll just pull up my details. I also have the option to assign it to a new person. And this one, what I will do is I will assign it to Michael Barr because I'm booking on his behalf. Pippa, also, yeah, no voucher codes just yet. We are working on it though. I promise, I promise. I will make a note just to give the two of you a heads up once we have done that. Email address, michael.barr@sparksmith.com. And he is with Sparksmith. Just want to take the ticket type, set up over here. Sorry, everybody. I just want to quickly change this ticket type just so that it is free of charge. Yeah, and I'm just going to refresh this page. Okay. Let's just grab one of these demo tickets. You can have as many tickets as you like on the booking wizard, and the amount of delegates will obviously increase. So if you were selling a table for 10, maybe you would have 10 delegates on this ticket. On the next page, if you had a table for 10 and you were unsure of how many people were coming for that, you would just be able to leave them unassigned. I'm going to just assign this back to Michael. Okay, there we go, it's Sparksmiths. And you'll notice as we're going through this process, this is turned active because we visited this section. This will turn to the blue color because we visited this section. And these two are still, we've yet to get there. So those are different colors. We'll click next. Now we'll get to our checkout. We'll go ahead and we'll confirm our booking. All right, cool. Now we can see that our booking has been confirmed. We've got a booking number. We can go back and assign any tickets that had been left unassigned, cancel our booking, view any other bookings relative to the booker's email address, create a new booking, or head on over straight to our upcoming events page, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with for now. We come back to our event over here. We're able to see all of the delegates and the event bookings that have been created. So we can see here that Michael Farr has completed his registration, but Noel did the booking. So there's one reserve booking that's sitting there. So before I change the price of the ticket, we'll see that this is that booking, and then this booking here is the one that has been completed. So very quickly, in a nutshell, that is our themes, fonts, microsite templates, and the templates specific to the booking wizard. Have we got any questions? Any questions relative to what we've discussed? Anything that you might want to see? Sheng, I see you've got a question. Is it possible to change the header banner font size separate from the form itself? Are you talking about the size of the font on this banner
Yes.
over here?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sheng, I didn't get that. Is this what you're referring to? Yeah, okay. So for that, we can see we've got the font size over here, medium. If we were to change this to a large or an extra large, we'll click save over there. We'll come refresh. And we'll see that it does kind of make everything a little bit bigger. So to answer your question, unfortunately, it will take all of the standard, like the standard fields in Events Box, so the more info, agenda, speakers, everything that's hard coded. If we use those, it'll make those a little bit bigger. If you did want to, a possible way to get around this would to be design a banner that already has the information inside of it, that you don't need to use the system generated text. Just a note for everyone else, the reason that this is different sizing is because of the rich text fields that we used on the event. So these rich text fields over here. You can just see that this is a different size, this is a different size as well. Okay, is it possible to use the booking wizard instead of regular? You don't use it. Yeah, of course. If you can definitely use the regular registration form for your events if you don't use tickets. Just a note on that it only allows for one registration unless you're allowing duplicate emails on the event. So if we were hosting a conference and we know that we only need one registration per event, then that would be good. But the booking wizard is to accommodate for group bookings. So all of your emails have images on, but you don't actually know where it pulls from, same as the microsite banner. So your emails will pull through from this field over here. So the email banner image URL. So Pippa, once you have uploaded an image to the event over here, it will pull through the URL, and in the email templates, the code pulls directly through from these images over here. If you don't have an email banner, so you haven't included a banner specifically for the email, it will always take the banner image URL. Cool. You're welcome. Do we have any other questions? Or maybe any of you want to share any use cases that you've got with microsite templates? Maybe you've tried something different, you wanted to share with everybody else. Okay, we're keeping all our secrets to ourselves. Fine. We at Sparksmith will share all our secrets as they come across. Just a note that custom CSS is available, so that you are allowed to have a custom styling sheet. We've got limited hooks available. So if you did want to make use of that option, you're more than welcome. If you did want us to take care of that for you, we can absolutely 100% help you take care of that. And we'll just quote you on that process depending on what your requirements are. Pippa, I can see your question. How do you get image on no-show? So do you mean an image on the no-show email? An image on the survey. An image on the survey, so that would pull through from your banner. If you've got a banner selected for the event, then that will pull through to your survey as well.
Oh, it doesn't, Noelle, it doesn't actually show up. It looks like the microsite, but without the image at the top.
Okay, let's have a look and just see if we've got a delegate over here. Come back to our reg tool. How I got a delegate here. I don't actually currently have a delegate here. Let me quickly complete the registration and then I'll go to the URL for that delegate.
It doesn't have to be on this call. It's just that I noticed that it looks like the microsite, apart from the image is missing.
Yeah,
It's
in the
sort of,
survey.
yeah, in the survey, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do some investigating on that and I'll let you know. And if anybody else is keen in our follow-up email as well, I'll just include that in there. Just out of interest, how many are experiencing the same situation that you've got a survey, but the image is not pulling through? Not with you. With you. Okay. Jan, you'd like to see a survey example. So let me go through, let's complete the registration over here and just show you what the survey will look like. Don't send surveys generally. Okay. So just a hack for everyone. So when we often do testing in our environments, we'll register ourselves to these events, and you'll notice once you've registered yourself, you can come and change the statuses, right? So I'm just going to come through and change my attendance status. So I've already attended the event. I'll go ahead and save that. You'll notice that there are links specific to this delegate. So their add to calendar URL is here, the Office 365, the desktop URL, the Google Calendar URL is there. You've also got the invitation URL and their survey URL.
Oh, that's clever. I didn't know that you could.
Yeah. So it's really, really helpful when you want to do testing, especially if you didn't want to wait for that email. You can see also on this event, if I come back to the event over here, that I didn't really set up any communications for this event, so they aren't defined. And the event setup progress checker over here. So comms are not really defined for this event. So it's a really nice way to bypass all of that. So yeah, and I'm sorry that we've been tampering with this microsite template. So this is what the survey would look like. Pippa, we can see that the banner has pulled through over here and the text is on the bottom. So maybe you and I can just catch up offline and just check why your surveys are not working that way. And then we've got an MPS field over here. We've got a 5-star, another 5-star field, a text field, another 5-star, and a text block as well. Just by the way, you will all be receiving the survey. So if you would complete it so we can get feedback, we would really appreciate that. But Jan, I hope that answered your question. EventSpark, so like I said, we support the NPS fields, we support 5-star fields. So you can just set those up. We do support all of those custom fields. Alrighty. I see that there is something also going in here. Okay. Awesome. So everybody, that is everything from my side that I wanted to explain. So you've got another question over here. Can you explain the rich text font size in more detail to the font size in the content section? Sure, Maya. So if we come back to our event, so just to get back to the event homepage. So we've got the homepage there. We'll work with you about this event and the who should attend. So you're querying about the rich text fields, which would be these over here. We have decided to apply the theme so it won't show up in red. You're asking to explain the text, the font size. So if I were to just come to the pencil, and let's say I wanted to make these two bullets just a bigger size, so I'd make those 20, click save, come back to my homepage and refresh. We can see that those two are a bit bigger. Does that answer your question, or was there something else there? Okay, I'm going to assume that was good. Okay, amazing. Anything from anybody else? Any other comments? Any advice you want to give to anybody else starting with the EventSpark platform? Anything that's worked? Anything that hasn't really? No? Okay. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining this webinar. We really appreciate it. As I mentioned, we will be doing a couple more of these webinars. Some of them will be repeated. So if you'd like to join again, you're more than welcome to. We have recorded this session that will be uploaded in our YouTube page and sent in our follow-up emails. So again, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and stay safe. Thank you, everybody. Bye.